Thank you everyone for joining. I'm so happy to be back. This is the first one for the new year. I have a fellow Jamaican born and bred, Moya Annece, co-founder of
Mm-hmm.
ASHYA,
Mm-hmm.
co-designer
Mm-hmm.
as well, and I'm sure she does a bunch of other stuff that I don't know about that she's gonna tell me. But seriously, thank you for joining. We needed to start the year off right with some good Black woman energy. To be quite honest,
Mm.
set the tone and get things going. How you
I'm so honored. I mean, wow, okay. I made the list.
doing? Sure.
I made the list of interviewees. This is really cool. Thank you. Thank you for having me, Cleon. And the first person for the year. Wow.
First person for the year. Some people weren't feeling well. Some people were in a different space. But when I thought about it, you just seemed right. I mean, I want to start with the roots. You seem like you're always interested in self care and reflections, and I think that's kind of what we need right now. So
Absolutely.
speaking of which,
Always.
how are you feeling? How you doing? What are your thoughts? It could
I
be
feel good. I feel good. I feel very, very blessed. Um, it's just, every week it feels like a roller coaster of emotions. Um, but I don't know. I feel I'm filled with so much gratitude in my life right now, honestly. Um, Last year was hectic. It was fucking intense for everybody. It was a huge turning point for, I mean, I imagine all of our lives, and it was a huge turning point and an awakening for me as well. So I just feel grateful to just have made it on the other side of 2021. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Yeah.
imagine. Yeah, I could see that because last year definitely was a how do you say a trying moment. I think we all learned a lot about ourselves, but definitely about the world and
Yeah.
things that we value and other people's points of views for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And just
Mm-hmm.
to just I think it kind of got everyone to a place where it's like, so where do we all really want to go? And
Right.
in my opinion, I'm hoping, I really, truly, genuinely, and hoping that we all realize that we're going to go further together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe faster alone, but definitely further together. And I hope in time, and then maybe a couple of months,
Yeah.
maybe a couple of maybe a couple of years, but we all realize that we're going to go a lot further together, and it's better together than apart. Speaking about better together,
A thousand percent. I agree. I was gonna say that I feel like last year was like a paradigm shift.
yeah,
Um, it felt like this sort of restorative reciprocity um, for many of us. It definitely felt that way for me on a personal level, on a professional level, on a community level. It was a huge shift. I feel like it definitely needed to happen to restore what is owed to us. And what has happened last year, it only just scratches the surface of things. But I definitely felt like as it was quite sad. Um, but I think that there was like a lot of beauty in it. Just for myself, for my peoples, for my community, and it's nice to see that it feels like we're stepping in the right direction as a humanity.
yeah, definitely agree. I don't know. Sometimes I struggle with the idea that people fail to realize that no matter how much you disagree with somebody, no matter how much you may think that somebody may not see things the way you see the world the way you see it, that we're all in this together. Everybody's an extension of this one big family we call humanity, and even by extension, America,
Absolutely.
Caribbean, all this other type of stuff. We're all in this together. If you fail, I fail. When it really comes down to it.
Hmm.
I think sometimes we lose sight of that. We like having our own little groups and gangs and tribes, or little cliques and communities, but ultimately we're all in this together. A
Hmm.
little bit of Jamaican came
Hmm.
out. A little bit of Jamaican came out. Talking to you. Seriously, we're all in together. Like you said, restorative is truly the case. And talking to you a couple of weeks ago, I remember you were saying that, you were just taking time for self-care and, doing therapy and doing other things. Like, what does that look like for you when you really get into self-care? What do you do?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Self-care is like my favorite topic these days, and I know that it's been a buzzword for the past few years now, But I feel like last year into this year, it became really real. And when I say real, it was ugly as fuck. Um, that's self-care. It's ugly, but it is beautiful chaos. And for me, last year when the pandemic hit, it was I just came to a rude awakening that I didn't have a choice but to seek mental professional help. Um, and just transparently, I I guess I'm going to use this word. I was depressed, and I've been depressed for a few years now, and I didn't realize it. You know what I mean? Because you get so caught up in the motion and the New York City grind of burying your head and your mentality down into your work that you go through the day to day to day to day without actually confronting your issues. And that's what 2020 was, right? A moment where you had to sit with yourself and you had to like really reflect and see you for who you really are and your environment. Um, and in those moments, that's when I realized, okay, now it's time for me to get a therapist. And, now it's time for me to maybe take it a step further and get a life coach. And now it's time for me to get a nutritionist because it's all connected, right? The holistic part of just your environment, what you eat, what you put in, taking care of your body. I felt like I've always taken care of my body in the sense that I've been a runner, not running as much anymore, which is another lifestyle change that I need to shift. But I think that I've had a tendency to like take care of like the physical aspect of things, bury myself into work and forget about the mental capacity, right? And it's mental gymnastics, it's exercising. And I've never really done that. And I was so embarrassed and ashamed to say, like, oh, at 30 years old, I'm getting my very first therapist. But I'm so grateful that I did it when I did it because I was at the brink of a mental breakdown. And I think when I entered into this mental health space of like, now I'm taking really good care of myself because it didn't feel like a choice anymore. It felt like I had to. Um, it, it's renewal. It is a mental exercise. And I've had lots of awakenings from last year. When I jumped into life coaching, I said to my life coach, which is a really good friend of mine, a really talented human being, Sizwe, based in South Africa. I said to her, I didn't want myself and my value to be so connected to the professional work of things. And I think in this day and age, we get so caught up in our value being placed in the work that we're doing, our profession, our titles, and that's just innately not who I am. And it's like, how do I separate the two in terms of like getting connected to the higher power, just so something so bigger than self, so bigger than a New York City hustle and grind. I wanted to get outside of that space. And I think that that's what 2020 has helped bring to light with me getting on that journey and understanding myself on a much, much deeper level that just goes beyond what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis.
That was beautiful.
Sorry, I know that was a
No,
long
no, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. Like that's what we all need to hear. Seriously, we all need to hear. We want to know that it's acceptable, one, and not acceptable beyond. It's healthy. It's what you should be doing as a human being, as an adult, as someone who's taking care of yourself. Seeking out those sorts of professional help, whether it's life coach, nutritionist, therapist, et cetera, et cetera. It's like people, you go to the doctor, right, to take care of your body, but you won't go to the
Right,
therapist to take care of your mind. You
right.
go to a dermatologist if
Yeah,
you're having a breakout, but you won't go someplace if you're feeling some bouts of depression. And we all go through it. I don't care what
absolutely.
nobody said. Like we all have moments, myself included, particularly last year, the year before, working extremely hard, putting in
Mm-hmm,
ridiculous amounts of hours, not getting
mm-hmm,
sleep. Your mind and your body feel like they're in two separate places. Your spirit don't even exist no more. And you're just on autopilot. It's almost like you become like this human shell, a drone. And the
Literally.
fact that you just took that time and identified it and put the, put the people behind you, I just think it's beyond necessary. And that's the reason why we were having that short conversation. I'm like, you're so on it. You're so where we all need to be, and you're not the only person I know. Like other friends of mine are getting help, particularly in the creative fields as well. And I think it's something that we need to do, because what I often find is that because we love what we do so much and we feel so much of
Yes,
the purpose in doing it, we fail to realize it's
absolutely.
still work. It's still
Mm-hmm.
work. Just because you love it don't mean that you're still not working. You can love
Mm-hmm.
running, but you're still gonna get blisters. You know what I mean? Your legs gonna still hurt. You still got to go do your rest and do your, exercise yourself out and stretch. So there has to be
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
recovery. And sometimes I find it because of what we do, because it's like life and work just blended into one. It's hard to separate it sometimes. And then you're doing it with your friends and you're doing it with people that you care about. I'm gonna say my friends. We happen to be. It becomes crazy, and you realize, like, when was the last time I actually ever took a break and did nothing? And even when you
Yeah,
take a break,
yeah,
it's like, man, I got 5 more things I got to do. The to-do list is racking up. I feel like I'm bootless when I do nothing.
yeah.
And it
Absolutely.
becomes really, really toxic without realizing it. And years pass. And that's what was
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
happening with me as well. And I just been happy that I've been really, really excited to have these conversations with people, because it makes you feel like you're less alone. And
Mm-hmm.
there's a space for it to be like, hey, I need to
Mm-hmm.
just stop for 5 seconds and stop chasing whatever I'm chasing and try to chase myself. It definitely got to the point where I felt like all of us were just we're trying to get everything else together rather than ourselves.
Absolutely. I definitely feel like you've expressed it so eloquently, and you're like so on the nose with it. And I think that it's all a mixture of like, okay, I think we really need to start talking about this grind culture. Like, fuck that shit. It's not healthy, okay? Like, take care of yourself. Yes, I know that there's purpose in what we're doing, and especially when we're building with our community. But as my friend would say, at the center of a whole and healthy community is a whole and healthy individual. So if that's not together, then there's no foundation for you to stand on. And that's just where I'm at in my life. And I want to be surrounded by people and communities that would encourage that. And for us to just like really face ourselves. And then another thing that we don't talk about is like like a, us from the Black diaspora, from the African diaspora as Black individuals, our families have so much deeply rooted trauma. And we don't realize how that's being how it's rearing its ugly head in our lives. And I know that we're like these progressive creatives and artists doing life-changing things, and it's like cool and it's amazing, and you get caught up in the clouds and the excitement of it all. But like, you have to clean your dirty laundry. And that's a part of it. You have to deal with your traumas. So I'm in a point in my life where I don't want to run away from it anymore. I want to go back to the root of it, understand it, deal with it. So this is not something that I pass down to the future generations, and then we can continue to live whole and healthy lives and contribute in a whole and healthy way. And yeah, and I think, yeah, I'm just trying to figure out creative projects around that, how I'm going to become like creatively and playfully expressive in figuring that part of my life out, and not having it so rooted in like just the professional parts of it.
Yeah, yeah. I want to get back to the creative right after I say the next thing, because, I definitely, as part of the Black diaspora, the concept of generational trauma is something that we don't really discuss on a lot. We talk about it, but we don't really discuss what are the next steps. And hopefully I'm not going to say something that's controversial. But,
I'm here for it.
as a person who thinks, and reads, or at least tries to think and read, and has been really trying to figure out like what I want to present with this, this conversational series. So I was reading an article where one of my friends sent me, and he does criminology. He's getting his PhD. He's finalizing his PhD, and he works at Northwestern, and he studies criminology and all sorts of different things. So he sent me an article about it was actually about the illness and everything like that, and the Black people that are passing away from it at the higher rates and higher numbers. But deeper down in the article, very, very long article, but it started highlighting factors that really cause the symptoms that we're talking about: high blood pressure, overweight, obesity, et cetera, et cetera. It's all linked to elevated, much more elevated levels of stress within the Black community. And what they found, just as a topic that I was even talking to Josh about recently, was that they found for even Black folks who were even successful, very wealthy, very well off, securing employment, will never ever have to worry about being financially desperate. They still had extremely high levels of cortisol and stress for the same comparable income levels with their like white and Asian counterparts. And it's because all the stress that comes with just genuinely being Black. And I know that's kind of like taboo to say.
Period.
But I'm going to say that's not the controversial part. I'm about to get to the controversial. I think we all know that, and it's linked to things like maybe you're the one person in your friend group or your family group that went out, but then the rest of the family and the friend group relies upon you to kind of pull them up as well. So even when you're carrying yourself up, you're usually carrying an entire community or groups of people. So I know that's part of it. And what I got to after reading it and getting to some of this was that the article kept going on and mentioning a whole bunch of other stuff, but the thing that I thought was like, hopefully this is not controversial, but the thing that it really kept me thinking about, and I have been thinking about it for a few months, given the light of some of the things that happened last year, was like, I think as Black people now, we may have to get to the point where we don't give as much as a fuck about every single thing that happens. We need to fight for justice, fight for progress, but focus on the fight for justice and progress, and don't internalize so much of the externality of the bullshit that we kind of run into on a day-to-day basis. Because I feel like I was doing this a lot, so I can speak to it. Every single thing that I heard that was affecting a Black person, it was like hitting me like it was myself, my cousin, my brother, somebody in my family. And it was just heavy. And I'm realizing like there's a way to engage and sympathize with the pain of someone from your community and just the pain of people in general without having it feel like it was you, like losing sleep, not eating, being dejected for weeks on end. And I don't think that sort of like internalized, taking on ownership of stress is even genuine in a way or valid. And that's something I'm still struggling through and thinking about, but I think we need to just deal with things as they come without realizing that it's just not us as well. It's not directly us. How does that make you feel?
I don't think that's controversial at all. I think that I 100% agree with you. And similarly to you, I experienced the same thing last year where I had to unplug. And I had to come to terms with like what that unplugging meant, because I was just like, oh my God, like, does that mean I don't care? But in my hearts of hearts, I care because I'm crying and I'm losing sleep and I'm going internally crazy about the experiences that we all have as Black folks. And I think that, I don't know, this might be a controversial thing to say as well, but I do feel like the media capitalizes on just the heightened emotions.
Absolutely.
And just kind of it just exploits it exploits us, our Black community, in terms of like, they know that they're going to get a kick out of us, they know that they're going to get a reaction from us. So it's like you have to figure out a way that you're going to unplug and dress yourself and understand how you are going to contribute and make an impact in a sustainable way, and not one that is short-lived and reactive.
Absolutely.
And I think in terms of what you're expressing, that is what I realized. And I took like, I guess, a year off from social media. I literally just came back on in like November or something. And I was just like, I cannot do this anymore. I don't want to live in this like very reactionary space. I want to do the work, understand how I can contribute in a way that is sustainable, in a way that will make sense for not only myself and my community. And then also for me, it's like, there was a lot of shit happening on the outside, but there was a lot of shit happening on the inside of my household too. So it was so many issues compounded. So I didn't have a choice but to unplug, because I would probably just kill myself. Like it just, and I'm not saying that lightly. So I 100% agree with you. I think that we have to figure out a way that we're not, and I think the word is reactionary, and that's what has been happening, and how we can achieve this like healthy balance within our community, that we can make these purposeful changes that aren't so like short-lived. But yeah, no, I feel you.
No, absolutely, because there's absolutely a commodification, then a commercialization, then a mainstreaming of Black pain. Pain that, quite frankly, this is the shit that I know. So this is why I know it's a game, and it's like once I saw it very clearly, I was like, I'm over this shit. You know, and like
Right.
go to the solutions that can be long-lived and actually impactful, that are healthy and healthy as you go through them. I mean, let's just be real. Just because of numbers, there's more white people that get shot by the fucking police in this country than Black people. Of course, by percentage, Black people are higher. And
Right.
which is publicized and promoted and put in the TV because there's ad dollars and generating an outrage that goes along with it, and media pieces and op-eds and think pieces and all this other shit that comes with it. They show Black pain. But because you see what happens if a cop shoots a white person, whoever it is, and it's done in a horrific way, which happens all the fucking time. Nobody wants to talk about it. And then they shoot a Black person in a similar way. The Black story is the one that goes in television. Then it creates strife in the Black community. Right. White people feel like they're not being shot. Then it's the division between the races. Hey, white people getting shot. Why don't you show them? Black people Black people the only one get shot. Why keep seeing this shit? And then the issue never becomes, hey, let's talk about like this over brutality on the part of a small fraction of police that need to be reined in, and some policing measures that need to be scaled back, and some different ways to look at policing that could involve having some other people show up to a scene without a gun. That's all you got to say. And I think everybody would be on board with that. The shit would be solved very quickly, throw the legislation out, and then we're done. There's no more ads, there's no media, there's no money to be made, there's no outrage, there's no 3 weeks of media cycle, 2 months of media cycle to be made, because it's too simple. There's nothing to be outraged. People live in harmony and they move on.
Absolutely.
But it doesn't destroy people, so there's nothing to talk about. Right? So we'll move on to something positive. We understand the game now. It's over. I just want everybody to know the game is understood. It's over. We're moving on to new shit. So moving on to new happy shit, let's talk about that beautiful hat, the goal, the dress that you're wearing, and what you're working on. Yeah, so tell me what's going on with these parties. What have you been passionate about lately? What are you thinking about? Of course, ASHYA is just, we know that. I saw the new bag. I need one. We know that, but what else is going on?
We have to get you one. You're such an ASHYA boy. We'll circle back on that conversation. I have always been passionate about like building with my community, and I'm so grateful and filled with a lot of gratitude that I've been able to do that. And I took the leap a few years ago and started that with ASHYA. It's like 4 years now. Time is flying. And that I've been able to work with Anthony and Ashley with the equate and the capacity that I have been. But I mean, what I'm feeling passionate about and have always felt passionate about is my people, Jamaica. And I'm feeling really inspired and reinvigorated by Jamaica, and have always. And I think that, this last year I told you it was an awakening, and this year I'm moving to Jamaica, which I'm really excited about.
We got it. What am I saying? The most dramatic moment. This is how I'm having the rest of the conversation. Talk about what you're about to do then. But seriously, you're moving. You're living the dream. This is how I'm finishing the rest of the conversation. Just so people know. Okay. But yeah, speak on.
Respect. No, I'm feeling very passionate. It's been some time now where, man, I've lived in New York for over 20 years now. I came here as like a preteen, and I love New York. I love New York for what the opportunities it has provided me with, all the amazing people I've met, the career that I've had while I've been here. It's just offered so much opportunity. And I mean, but I felt like I've reached the end of the road with New York City for some time now. I think it started like 3 years ago when I invested and I bought a home upstate. And I was like, I'm gonna live upstate. And that didn't work out. And I'm just now at the point in my life where I feel like the universe is pushing me in the direction of my roots. And I'm at a point in my life where I just have to lean into it, and that's what I'm doing. I'm leaning into it. So I'm feeling really excited about that, and
Happy for you. You don't even understand. Like, I'm so happy that you're making a decision. I mean, I'm moving as well, and I'm already in Jersey City, so I left New York like a year ago.
Are you leaving the country as well?
I was thinking about Mexico City or Dallas. My choice for now was Dallas. I may go to Mexico City, but again, I think the next 2 or 3 years, it's going to be a lot of traveling anyway. So I just wanted to find a home base that made sense, that was relatively cheap. But I will be in Jamaica doing a big, long project at a certain point in time. I'll wait for that. But I don't want to kill no secrets yet. I got to do it.
Excited. I feel you.
No, it's definitely going to be. We already got the first book, right? So the next book is going to be a part of something else, and then there's going to be a show to come along with it, and your people may be involved. If I can get them, they're very busy doing stuff with Google and all these companies and Nike now. They may not be able to make time.
No, I'm sure we can make something happen.
Yeah, but I just been feeling similarly. Like the city, it's an incredible place. Like there's no place like it. I don't gotta discuss my love affair with New York City. There's no place like it. One of the most legendary cities and places in the entire universe. Literally, it's like a beacon of hope. Light. There's a togetherness here that's different. But I think when you're from water, when you're from breadfruit tree, palm trees, that never leaves your system. I got breadfruit tattooed on my hand, on my arm, my sleeves. That's a breadfruit. All of the arms. These are palm leaves. I'm not trying to say that it means anything, but it's just in you. It's in my essence. It's in my essence. I can't tell you how I can't sawfish and breadfruit taste. You know what I mean? Like you got to experience it and fall in love and never want to leave. I've been here too long. I know that. And I haven't been to Jamaica. Check this out. I haven't been in Jamaica since I was 11. Almost 22 years. I just went to the embassy maybe 2 weeks ago to get my passport because I had some ID mixed up with my middle names. After all of this time, finally get my passport a month, and I promise.
Your Jamaican passport?
Yeah, Jamaican passport. So Jamaican citizen. I haven't. Good for you, man. So this summer I gotta go back home to visit everybody. I'm trying to make that happen, if not by the fall or the winter, but. I feel you. I just got to go back and touch it. See it. Go to the places I haven't been to. I haven't been to Port Antonio. I've been in Spanish Town, Kingston my entire life. I didn't really even travel the country yet. So I want to make it a big experience, a big coming back home moment. See my family, which I haven't seen in the longest time, and get to find myself, get to know myself, see what the real roots are. Seeing things when you're 9 and 10 and 6 and 5 is not the same.
So different as an adult.
Yeah. So I'm happy for you. I'm excited for you.
Congrats on getting back your Jamaican passport.
Yes, it
took long overdue. When did you leave Jamaica?
I left, I think when I was 6 years old, and then I went back a couple times, back and forth.
So you're a little toddler.
Yeah, toddler, very small. And then I went back when I was 11 just to visit for a couple of weeks, but I haven't been back since. And I hadn't traveled anywhere for a very long time before, I did the book 2 years ago. And then when I went to go to the office to get travel, I was like, oh, my middle names are backwards and let's go figure it out. I had to bring my mother. They were closed. It was Labor Day. And then I went back and then I reapplied because I had to reapply for my visa over here in America to get the names corrected and then go back to the Jamaican passport office with the new birth certificate, all the stuff.
I know. I hear you.
Finally got it done. So it's exciting, man. Shout out to the people at the Jamaican Embassy. They were super professional. I don't care what the reviews said. They were nice to me. You know what I mean? They were very nice to me. Professional. I love people.
I mean, they're usually quite slow with documentation and anything government related. But I'm really happy that you've gotten through. We just have to learn to have patience because we've just gotten so used to living a very, very fast-paced life. So. Mm-hmm. It's an I know it will be a big adjustment for me at least because I'm just used to everything happening. The moment you want it, you have it in a few minutes. So yeah.
What do you imagine the life? Where are you moving to down there, and what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Give me a little bit sneak peek.
No, I give too much right now. So I'm going to be in. Truthfully, I'm gonna be in Kingston. My hope and desire is to be in the hills of Kingston. I've just lived in New York City for so long, for a huge chunk of my life. And I just don't necessarily care to be in the heart and the center of a city. So I would rather be in the outskirts, in the mountains, or by lots of nature. I mean, people would assume that you go to Jamaica, that's innately where you're going to be, but it's not. Kingston is a very metro area. And I'm feeling to stay there because I have lots of family in Kingston. So I don't want to be too far from family, but just on the peripheral of things. I guess for me, when I think about Jamaica, and I've always thought that Jamaica has so much potential, so much potential to be an economic power within the Caribbean, as big as the name that it has globally. You know what I mean? So I think from like the marketing lens, from the PR lens, I think that Jamaica is just such a giant. And then when you are on the island and you see the businesses and the way that it runs, you're just like, man, there's just so much to it. And it really irks my soul that the one of Jamaicans, maybe if only, correct me if I'm wrong, my fellow Jamaicans that are out there, I feel like tourism is its primary, you know, source of income as an island. And I don't think that that's enough. I don't think that, I just feel like tourism is such a tricky space for you to be in, you know, a global pandemic like what we're experiencing right now, even though it's a rarity, there are going to be other forms of different forms of catastrophes that happen throughout the world. And you cannot tell me that the only way that we're able to sustain ourselves as an island is by people coming there and speculating and just enjoying the sun and take, and going back to where they're from. There has to be more of like a mutual exchange in just how we engage with the world, and something that just goes beyond, you know, the sparkly, just the sparkly way of an idealistic way of living. And, you
Yeah.
know, a lot of people come to the islands and they're like, is this place even real? Like, okay, you're by the beach and you're by the sun, but it is. It's real life, it's real people. And I think that we often lose sight of places as such because you just think of it as, I'm going there for fun and then I'm going home.
Mm.
But I want Jamaica to be a place outside of that, to be a place that's not only for retirees that you spend all your life building in America or the UK or wherever you go around the world, and then come back and build and spend a few years of your life on this island. That's not good enough. It's not. And you have too many talented, creative individuals globally that are from Jamaica that are doing amazing things. We just need to be able to cultivate that and bring it back to the space and renew it, you know, and restore it. It needs to be restorative. And for years I've been going back and forth to Jamaica. I go back and forth to Jamaica like every year, and I'm always contemplating with my aunt, like, what can I do here? What, you know, how can I contribute in a way that is sustainable? You know, I feel like that's a running theme in my life. I want to create a sustainable life. And, you know, I'm always thinking. And I just, but my aunt is always saying to me, you have to be here. You have to be here to build your network of people, to understand the needs and to figure out how you can contribute. And the only way to do that is to be there. So I'm taking a leap and diving into the unknown. I don't know what that's going to bring me, but that's just where I'm at. I'm continuing to follow my purpose in life, and I think it's very much rooted in where I'm from, and just the indigenous way of living. That's how I want to live.
Mm. No,
So
I'm
yeah,
grabbing
that's
all
it.
of that. I think that's super beautiful and absolutely. I don't know why, but you're in the same, you're in the same brain at this point
We're
in
the
time.
same wavelength.
But
Right.
no, it's very true. I mean, everything that you said, the exact approach. You know, you got to go there to know what's going on, to be able to see where you can find opportunity, to see where we can lead to the future. You can't, you know, like people always say, you know, you'll go as far as your dream is. So you got to go there to see how big you can dream, and then try to build a dream from that. And you're right about the sort of like, it's almost like this one night stand, one vacation type situation when it comes to a lot of those islands. And I know a lot of them can't, it's difficult for them to see a way beyond just being like the big nation's booty calls in a way. I'll come see you and I leave you. You're a big nation booty
What's
call.
an analogy? What's an analogy? Lord have booty call.
Big nation booty call. That's what these, they come, they go, they do what they do and they leave without considering what's going on. And, they just gawk and look and leave. And I understand that's the nature of a lot of these places. And it's not just, Black diaspora countries, a lot of places that are based on, tourism all across the world, Greece and also those sorts of places. But it's going to have to come down to, what I believe we are at the core of us. Jamaica is one of the most culturally impactful countries in the entire world, particularly based on its size. It may be the most impactful country by size. Like when people say pound per pound fight of the world, like by size, it's smaller than Japan. You know what I mean? And look where Jamaican culture has gone, artists, music, innovation, influence, et cetera, all over the world. You know what I mean? All over the world, period. Everywhere, even back to Africa. You go to Africa, you think it's Jamaica in certain places. You know what I mean? So
no, you're absolutely right. I remember the first time I went to South Africa and I saw like Jimmy Cliff's name all over. Where was I? Soweto, and I was like, my God, look at the influence. It's insane. Yeah.
So I guess,
how do you capitalize on that?
Yeah, so the future is, we have to, I've been trying to figure out this stuff for myself, and I'm eventually going to get there. I have some plans. I mean, they're very far away. If someone said what the big dream is, I got a big dream. Something that I got to really get, something that's in the stars.
Might not be that far. I
don't think it's that far. I think it's all possible. It begins here. Like these conversations are the birth of those situations. We'll talk about the big dream offline, but ultimately what it amounts to is that we need to be in the position where we're the ones that create, and not the ones that, are just led to recreate the platform. We're not the one curating the platform. And that's the difference. Like you make the music, but you don't own the music. You make the music, but you don't own a platform that stream the music. And we need to get to a place as a community, whether it's in Jamaica or otherwise, where we're the ones where the platforms that are built on, and the people that consume it, because it's typically our own communities anyway, we benefit from that and share within the community. Like I love the platform of certain companies, like say a Uber or Airbnb or whatever. It's like you use what you have a sharing economy, so the people that own the things can make money from it as well. So everybody rises as you go up, but it creates such a huge like network effect to where like once you're in the community, things just benefit and it benefits. So it'd be like going to Jamaica, say, what do we do well? Okay, there's music. What can we do? Maybe we can build a cursive, like a master class for music, where people from, reggae legends can build a platform where other people online can learn how to make reggae music. It's like ideas like that. I don't have the whole thing. I'll have to go to see what's happening. But I think it's ideas like that where the innovation is going to be built. You got to do what you do best, monetize it, build a platform for it, and not build your skills on somebody else's platform. Because you look at Instagram, you everybody in the whole world posts a billion photos. The only person making money from ads is Mark Zuckerberg. There's those things on YouTube. You know what happens? YouTube gives you 50-50. Instagram don't do that. You know what I mean? Uber does that. You have to go to the platforms that at least going to give you half, and at least then you can build the platforms that are going to give you 100%. But you got to start with half and build for 100%. So
absolutely,
I don't know what that looks like,
you gotta taking back our stories, taking back our platforms, creating ones for ourselves. We just, I don't know. I'm on some Marcus Garvey tip. We have to go back to the roots and just build. And the ones who are stationed here, you stay here. We just figure out how we're gonna build a bridge globally. Whether it's from like Ghana to Jamaica to South Africa to New York to London, like we have to figure this out.
And the biggest idea is, I'm sorry, but the biggest idea is they tend to still be, and again, this is no disrespect to anybody. You want to make money, but the biggest ideas tend to be, again, white owned. Like there's look at Amazon, one of the biggest companies in the world, like top 3. And someone says, oh, I'm going to build an Amazon for Africa. Who owns it? It's a company called Jumia that's backed by people in Denmark. It's not Black owned. You know what I mean? It's like even in these big ideas, because, or like if you look at things that happen in Africa with like China's Belt and Road Initiative, like they're buying up ports in all these countries, bringing all these, poor and low income countries into debt, buying the ports back from them and still using China labor to build it. So it's just like these weird, really, really monopolistic, insidious, parasitic sort of like approaches. And until we as a community is like, we got to build it ourselves and take the time. If it's going to take us, if we can't do it in a year and if we got to do it in 10 years, we have to commit to the time and commit to the periods of not being profitable to then make an abundance of profit in the future. And I don't know if we're like
1,000%.
Yeah, it's so instant gratification oriented life nowadays. But I've been trying to retrain myself to say, don't think about the next 1 or 2 years. Think about the next 10 and 20. And once you have that approach, ideas are different. So I know I'm rambling.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah,
definitely.
no, you're not rambling. You're not rambling. I 1,000% agree. I have struggled with that in the past in terms of like, man, I'm just tired of trying to figure out how to survive. I just want to live in an environment where I'm finally thriving and I'm building while I'm thriving. But I mean, you're right. It's what keeps me going, because even running a small business like ASHYA for years, it's been scrappy. Like super duper scrappy. So the idea of like building something from scratch is frightening again. Because it's just like, man, I just got to a place where I can like finally sustain a little bit off of what I've been able to build. But it's all about, I just have to keep my mind on just the end goal and not necessarily subscribing to the way that we think and function in life right now as a society, that it has to be instant. You have to be able to see a return and profits within like these like short periods of time of building something. To build something that is of substance takes time. And I think, that's where I'm at in life, in building something that is sustainable. And I feel I just, even like going back to Jamaica and still running our business ASHYA, to be honest, it all feels very, very, very interconnected. Because when ASHYA started, it was this idea of so very much rooted in traveling and telling the stories of Black and Brown and Indigenous communities. And it feels very right for me to go back and think of ways that we can continue to tell these stories and to engage with communities that are thoughtful and conscious. So I mean, I guess it's very much wrapped up in my personal ethos as a human being, as a creative, as a mystic, as someone who's just searching for something beyond self, and searching and connecting in ways that are valuable and really beautiful and sustainable to human life.
Yeah, that seems like a very logical and natural progression from what you guys started with ASHYA. Because again, like you said, it's rooted in travel. I mean, I think in a weird way, like we all are so closely tied because we're literally the same people. Indigenous, travel, movement, learning from others, being global, and giving back to communities. Really, all like we all love to do. There's a reason why we all kind of found each other, but in a weird way, although I'm not a part of it yet. But I mean, I'm buying stock. I'm buying stocks. I'm buying stocks.
No, you're definitely a part of it. I've known you since like 2012.
It's been a long time, for sure.
It's been a long.
You know, it's funny. I just randomly was on my computer, like because I was building out my website, and I randomly saw a photo of you, Trav, and Kadeem on some random block in the city, and it was like, yeah, and I was just like, yo, this literally is from 2012, and I know we haven't spent a lot of time together during that time, but the energy's always been consistent. And I think once you get down there, you're just gonna start seeing things differently. Like the extension of ASHYA, I know you guys will start doing some, Rasta knit hats and colors. And
Rasta knit hats.
I don't know. You may find some new leather materials. I'm saying it, but you gonna make it look good. You know what I mean? When I say Rasta knit hats, I mean like Rasta knit hats, and like translate that into a bag. You know what I mean? Like that's what I mean. Not like it's a Rasta knit hat. I don't think so. That's what I mean. Take the colors, the inspiration, the vibe, the style, the energy of the people. Because I know there's people out there doing things, and it'd be impossible for a place like that beautiful, not to have some resources and some talent and some things that they're working on that are going to spark your attention from ASHYA and other ideas. And it requires obviously being there just to see what's really, really going on. But I know there's more. And if there's more, then if there's more, then I know for a fact that an idea will come. Mm-hmm. And that's just how I'm trying to like gear my brain these days, just to believe in that. While sometimes abundance is something that we use and it's a little bit overrated, because oftentimes in life, when people say abundance, really what happens is that you don't know the person that you're taking from. So your abundance is really still somebody like lacking a little bit. I think in America, we tend to say abundance as if like our abundance doesn't come on the backs of other people's like lack of abundance. But I do believe when you create new things, new areas, new revenue streams, new communities, new industries, there is abundance because you unlock something that wasn't there before. Like the internet unlocked the completely like trillions of dollars worth of value. There's a way to unlock some more value in these smaller communities that we're not tapping into yet. And if we don't tap into it ourselves, these larger conglomerates will consolidate and take them. They just will. You know, money, capitalism is constant improvement. And once they, you know, oversaturate a place like America, where do they want to go? They go to Europe, and after Europe, they go to China. After China, they go to India, and after India, they go to, you know, wherever they can find. And then Africa is the next place. And we got to, if you're genuinely, if you're trying to cut somebody up before they get there, you got to start at the place and build up enough of a strength before by the time they get there, they got to be a partnership because you already got your foot into the ground, you know? So those are things I've been learning over the past year. Like, seriously, all this stuff, somebody asked me a year ago, I'm like, I don't know. You know, just having that time for self and just realizing like how some of these financial situations are structured, how these companies are structured, the sort of illusion of dollars that they do. And a lot of it is just about growth. This VC money, this angel investor money, it's just about like grow as fast as you can. You don't got to make a profit, grow as fast as you can. We want 100% returns year over year. Don't matter if you're making money. We'll go public.
You know it.
We'll throw it off to some shareholders and they'll invest it while we cash out. Like that's the game.
1,000%. Yeah.
These guys that called Black Tag. I want them in the show. They're doing something that I think
I know them. Yeah, I've heard about them.
And like that's what we need to be doing. Like, okay, good. Let's just cut them off. Let's just cut them off. Where Netflix does like a Black only channel, cut them off. You know what I mean?
It's a Netflix.
Yeah, exactly. Netflix. So we just gotta start cutting people off before they get there, because we're the consumers and the users of so many of these different things. And it's like once we touch it, we make it hot. And then by association,
and we're the drivers.
You know, we did it with community. We did it with Clubhouse, rather. Like it keeps happening.
Absolutely. We're huge players in these types of businesses, whether it's media or however you want to think about it. But we just need to start owning. We need to own our own shit, whether it's our businesses, whether it's real estate, whether it's media. It's just ownership is such a huge thing for me, which is why a few years ago I invested in my first property with my sister, because I just knew like it was going to lead to some form of economic freedom. And it has, because honestly, that's helping me, going to be able to help me sustain while I'm in Jamaica building whatever it is that I'm building, you know? So it's like, we just have to start owning our own shit, period. So I'm 100% aligned with what you're saying and how we should navigate as a people and how we're actually going to attain economic freedom. It's not by other folks, it's within our community. So yeah. I'm 100% there.
This is too much agreement. We got to find something to disagree on. I'm joking. I'm joking. We got to find something to disagree on. Yeah.
We do. We're gonna have to
find anything. But which is good. It just shows that people are in alignment. They took the time. You know, I was saying all into 2020, like 2020 is going to be a year of like clarity, right? And I know if you look back on it, a lot of people will be like, that was the worst year ever. I think it was if you survived and your family's okay and everything was rough. But to me, it was the year of clarity. If you don't know where your life is going now, you don't got no chance, period. You don't got no chance. If last year happened, if last year happened, you lived through it, and you don't know what you want to do after, you got no chance. Just start making a coffin now, laying it, and relax, because you're already dead. Because if you don't know what you want to do now, you got no passion. You don't believe in anything. You don't believe in anyone. You don't want anything. You don't want anyone. You don't want to do anything for anyone. You don't want to do anything for yourself. You're done. It's over. You'll never have another wake-up call like that in your life. So
yeah, 1,000%.
You know what I'm saying? The bell didn't ring on this one. It's never gonna ring. The clock dead. You know what I mean? So
2020 was clarity for sure. It was like, no, you have to stare at all the ugly parts of yourself.
Yeah.
And you're gonna cringe and you're gonna want to curl up in a ball and run away from it. But it's just like, shit, you deal with your shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, I agree. But we do have to find something that we disagree on. But we have to connect when you finally make it to Jamaica.
Oh, I'd love to do that. Yeah, I'm gonna need some friends there too, so I don't get ripped off. Because people gonna look at me like I'm from foreign, so because my accent.
All right, wait. So do you see yourself living there as well?
I'm not sure yet, but I'm open to anything. I don't think that's my next journey. Maybe at some point in time later in life when I'm a little more established. But I'm open-minded to everything at this point in life. Like I'm at a point where like literally my rent is my place I'm living at month to month. I'm targeting Dallas as my next destination. That makes sense for a lot of reasons, but Dallas could just be a year. I just know I have to make some investment.
Right.
And I want to go with this show. I want to travel a bit more. So these conversations are going to be happening in person like we did with Anthony. So I plan on like just lowering all the expenses, going to Dallas, find a nice cheap place, live a little bit better, get away from some of these crazy ass taxes, find a base, get some better equipment, and then going to Cali and back to New York, and then going to Jamaica and other places and doing those. It's gonna be a production. Like this really
I mean,
be a production. So
I think it's an amazing thing that you're doing, and I feel like one of the things that has just cultivated this thing in me, whatever this thing is, or however you want to call it, has been traveling, you know, traveling, engaging with so many people of our community in different parts of the globe. It just really, you know, whether it's locally, nationally, internationally, I just think it's such a necessary thing in life to be able to move through the world in the way that you do, because I feel like it ultimately really informs you and really helps you understand what your purpose is as you're navigating it. But if you're someone who's just so, you stay within the same area, I think same place in life for a really long time, location wise, I think it can be a bit limiting, you know, and not even just, and I'm not just talking about someone who is living, has lived in New York their whole lives. I mean, just someone who, I think it's just important to travel, period. And to just like understand the world, understand humanity, understand ways that how you engage with it in a very conscious way. And I feel like that is just such a huge thing for us to understand ourselves, and understand the way in which we operate with the world, you know? So I totally feel you, and I think that's amazing. I almost wished I moved around a lot more in terms of like where I lived in my 20s. But nonetheless, nothing that is for you will not escape you. So I am where I'm supposed to be. But I feel like it's a beautiful thing when you have the privilege to be able to navigate and live in different places and travel often and learn about different cultures and different people. I think it's necessary.
Yeah, it's the biggest. It's the biggest blessing. Seriously, it's the biggest blessing to be able to go and see it and not hear from it.
Is.
We get a lot of. It's a false illusion. You know, we live in a world of, you know, internet and Instagram and all sorts of type of stuff. And we can see every photo. We can see any place on earth, you know, and instantaneously without a second. And then we think we know, but we don't. And it's the difference between first-hand knowledge and second-hand knowledge. You know, whatever. You know, another concept that comes to my mind a lot is that I think the reason why we're so divided as a people is because we don't really know anybody. We just know ourselves, but we think we know others. And we don't even know ourselves sometimes. And that's why travel is essential. That's why talking to people is essential. That's why getting to know people outside of your immediate friend group, your immediate family, your immediate community is important, because there's no other way to empathize without knowing, walking in those shoes, walking in those boots, going to these areas, walking around, seeing where people live. You know, people think they can go on like a Zillow and like type in, you know, what the area is like and what the school scores is like. And then, you know, look at some videos of people walking around maybe on YouTube and think they know a neighborhood. You don't know anything. You got to go and talk to people. Growing up, I was watching like Wild on E! And, you know, Anthony Bourdain and Samantha Brown Travels. And
what is Wild on E? I don't.
That's stuff. I used to come on like late at night on E! The host was Brooke Burke. You know, I used to watch it when I was like 10, 11 years old, and it would like, oh, we're going to Ibiza, and Spain, and all these like beautiful places. So like in my brain, whether I realize it or not, it's like these things, this travel idea has been like tattooed into my skull. And I didn't realize how much I was running away from it for such a long time in my life. But as soon as, you know, 2018 came and I traveled, like it was just like, yo, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? Like,
there's no turning back.
Yeah, there's no turning back. Like I'm really trying to be I'm just trying to usher in a new sort of travel series. You know, everyone in the past, they've gone to these places and it's been about food. And I understand, like, you get to eat food with somebody and you get to know. I think that's one way of looking at things, but I think the true way to look at things is, I think it's through people, you know what I mean? Of course, through the art that they create, but it's through people, you know? And I understand through food, you talk about people, but it's not about that. It's really through talking to people. We are the universe. We are the universal truth. We're trying to find every other knowledge other than knowledge of self.
We hold the answers.
Yeah, we all have the answers. I learn the most from these conversations with others than I do from all the readings and all the other things that I can do. Like this sort of exchange is the most valuable thing ever in life. It's the most valuable thing. It's the most meaningful thing. It's the deepest thing. It's the most essential thing. But we've been led to believe like this thing has the answers when really you have the answers.
It doesn't.
It's our relationship to each other that we find meaning. It's not our relationship to a phone and a Google search. But that's just my feeling. And I just want to go touch people when I can. Go touch some water. So.
Which is why I imagine the pandemic has been so, I mean, it's been extremely challenging for people because we're social human beings and that's the way we build and connect and create this world that we live in. But I feel like, you know, who holds a lot of the answers to just life in general? Indigenous people. Because you know what? I feel like they're the ones most connected to Earth, which is why I think it's so important for us as Black people and of the diaspora to be able to reconnect with the land, the soil in that sort of way, because they hold the answers. And I think we're gonna keep trying to search and contemplate and understand our purpose and who we are till thy kingdom come. And what you need to do is to be able to like go back and talk to these people and understand the ways that we should truly be engaging with this world, not the way that social media is telling you, not the way that just media in general is telling you to navigate. Again, back to this grind shit, which I just don't agree with. I wholeheartedly, do you follow the Nat ministry? They are my Bible. It's like the Bible, okay? You've never heard of them? Oh my God.
The Nat ministry?
The Nap ministry.
Oh, Nap ministry.
Yes. What?
That sounds hard. Never heard of them.
You need to go on Instagram. It's going to change your life.
Make a note. The Nap ministry.
But I stand hard behind them because it's just like, come on, like throw this whole capitalistic. Let me tell you something. I'm not anti-capitalistic. I love money. I want to see my community to thrive and grow and not just survive, but to thrive. And the way that we're going to do that is through, we need some economies running through successful economies. But we need to figure out ways that we're going to engage with a capitalistic society in a healthy way. It needs to be more balanced. In America, it's too fucking extreme, which is why I just cannot align with this place at all. But going back, Indigenous folks, they have the answers. And I think that you should find them, understand them, talk to them, and just figure out how you're gonna cultivate these more healthier ways of living as an individual and as a community, period. You have to connect with these people. So I don't know if you're gonna to find that in staying in New York City and grinding your life away, working yourself to the bone. It's not gonna happen. So yeah.
See, I remember
that's my 2 cents.
And I said I was becoming an anti-motivator, and I'm glad you're on my side now. I'm glad you're on my side. It's just, you know, nothing left, like really is honestly left to be said. I feel like we've properly and summarily and beautifully described this entire feeling and moment that we need to be moving forward with. We all want to win, but I want to like have legs when I get past the line. Like, you know what I mean? I want to enjoy this shit. If that makes any sense, it's like what's you know, it's really something just makes sense. Like, who's more? I've been asking myself, like, how much more happy is anybody than me? If you're happy, you're happy. If someone else is happy, they're happy. It's not like happy part 2, happy version 3, happy version 4, happy to the 10th power. No, it's just happiness. Yeah. And if you just want to live relatively comfortably, have a good life, have a good family at some point in time, have some, you know, beautiful little kids around, running around, having a good life. If that's all it is anyway, at the end, if that's the true happiness, can I do that with $500,000? Can I do that with $1 million? Can I do it with 10 million? Do I need 100 million? It's just like we keep pushing the goalpost down for happiness and success further and further than it probably needs to be. And I get it, get as much as you can, but remember everything's a trade-off. So remember the cost. I hate when I see men in particular, and it's like, I take care of my family, I do everything, I'm the man, blah, 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 but you never see your kids. You never see your family. You're barely there. You're not present. It's like, I want to have it all. And if I got to take a little bit less, quote unquote, money while, you know, hustling for it, I'll happily make that trade. If I can't live in quote unquote New York, but I live a good life.
Oh my God. New York is not the end all be all, guys. Just PSA. It's just not. But yeah, you're right. I listen to the Happiness Lab podcast. It is it's a treasure. It's called the Happiness Lab. And it's basically this professor at Yale who runs this like happiness course. And she really delves into the science of happiness. And they're like, there's a lot of episodes in there, but there was one particular episode where she basically debunks this idea. And I think a lot of us do know this, that the monetary value is not directly connected to happiness. And like when you go into the statistics of things, they were saying like, when you go beyond the $70,000 per year threshold,
exactly.
it's like,
it doesn't matter.
Know, yeah. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. So it's just like, you got to figure out like what your purpose is and how you're going to contribute and what is going to make you happy. And if that shit is not going to be money, yes, you need to be able to live a sustainable life where you can have a roof above your head and feed yourself. But beyond that, it's not the funds.
Exactly. It's just like, it's ownership. And then from that ownership and work and healthiness, whatever you get out of that, that's what you get out of it. I'm not like, I think a lot of people feel like they failed that they don't have like a company that's $1 billion. You know what I mean? But they can feed themselves. Like, you can feed yourself. You won. You're good. Your life success. Like, check. You're good. You don't got to keep finding the next thing and 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 the next thing. Because as you said, like, I'm familiar with that same study. I know it's a little bit different for New York. I think it's like $170,000 or $150,000 in New York or something like that. But it's similar. Like, it's like after the first Bentayga, the second one is going to just be another car. You know, like how many houses do you need? Like it just becomes like buying another pair of jeans. Like everybody knows the feeling of buying something or getting something or achieving something that you really wanted. As human beings, we adjust very quickly. We find balance and homeostasis very quickly. So we're always trying to rush for that high again. And that's what they say, people who have lesser things, lower means, less possessions, who tend to be even less affluent are happier because their baseline of happiness is set lower. If my baseline for happiness is a Bentayga, then until if I get a Jeep, it ain't a Bentayga though, so fuck it. Whereas somebody who's just like, if I get a car, it could be a Kia Sophia, broken down with a bumper and
not a Kia.
I mean, just as a joke, it's like,
no, I hear you.
You know what I mean? I just think we keep putting the expectations on like some high, ridiculous social media, Kardashian jet setting level when it could just be, just get a house, just live a good life, find out what truly and genuinely is going to make you happy. And when you get those things, appreciate them for as long as you can. Like there's days I walk around and be like, this is my apartment. You know what I mean? And I'm like, just like the first time I walked in here and it just feels nice. It ain't my end all be all apartment, but
that's amazing.
It feels good.
That is it's gratitude, and gratitude is a healthy practice, man. It is a healthy fucking practice.
All the shit that I have and all the shit that I don't have, but it's just, it wasn't meant to be, and I don't deserve shit. I'm grateful to have it. Everybody works hard. There's a lot of people who work hard and never see anything. There's tons of people that I know in my life who work the hardest work because they never seen anything outside of their paycheck. They worked their whole entire life. They just they got right here. But they were happy doing it. They enjoyed it. They found fulfillment. They provided for their family. And that used to be good enough. And now it's like, we all got to be billionaires unless you're a failure. And I don't believe that. I just don't. It's eroding.
No.
It's not healthy.
It's not healthy. And I mean, I appreciate you for having a platform where you can just debunk these ideologies and especially these ways of thinking within our community and what we place value in. I think it's really important for us to dispel all those false truths, because I just feel like, I really appreciate that you're having these conversations, especially with like Black creatives in the space, and making a space for these types of engagements, because I think it's so critical. I think it's so critical for us to have these honest, very, very honest conversations, because that's how we're going to push the needle forward and make an impact within our communities. This is really special.
Thank you. I think on that note,
you're doing an amazing job.
I'm not gonna take up any more of your time. I know you're a successful Black female entrepreneur. So I don't wanna, this is a fact. Are we lying? This is what it is. You're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner, you got things to do, I'm sure. Ashley's probably like, where's she at? So we got work to do.
Ashley and Anthony, they're like, we need to come back to the office, Moya.
Yeah. But just seriously, I just want to say
but we
go ahead, what you gonna say?
Yeah, no, I mean, no, I was gonna say thank you, and we should definitely continue the conversation outside of this realm, because I just think there's so much alignment there.
Absolutely.
And we just have to continue to build with our peers and our community. And thank you so much for even considering me to, you know, share my truth.
Honestly, this has been the best introduction to the year that I could have had. Like, you literally set the tone for exactly what I wanted to do and where I wanted to go. I mean, literally on everything. We got to find something to disagree on before I end this thing. I like literally everything that I've been thinking over the past couple of months. I haven't recorded an episode in like 2 months. So like for me, it's been like, yo, I don't want to be rusty. Am I going to introduce this right? Is my energy going to be in there? And the fact that we just came on, it was just like complete alignment. It just shows like, this forum, these conversations, the things that you're thinking, the things that we're trying to do, they're valuable. And that's the reason why there's so much alignment, because everybody's feeling them. They may not have the words for them. Absolutely. They may not know it yet, but I think we're all trending this way. And the more these conversations happen, the more free and safe we're going to be to really make it happen. So,
and I think that another reason why it's so important to Cleon is because there are probably people out there that are feeling these things and they're not able to name it. And by just us having a conversation about and being able to clearly articulate how we're feeling and what we want to do and achieve in life can really allow people to name and understand their truths, and not just only this conversation between me and you, this conversation between all the peers and all the people you'll continue to have on these platforms. You'll allow people to just kind of unlock that thing within themselves too. So for that, so much gratitude and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you all. Thanks everyone for listening. Hopefully you get some stuff from this, because I gained a lot. And this has been some super restorative, nourishing, and just directional. Like I feel like, you know, you have a thought in your brain and it feels right and in your spirit and you know you're going to do it anyway. But sometimes you just want to know that you're not alone. And the fact that you were right there with me just further proves what I already know. Like, we're all headed this way. We just got to go even stronger and make it happen. Because we have a life that we need to take back. And for a very long time, I feel like we've been losing it and focused on a very myopic, small way of seeing the world. And we're too creative and too beautiful and too impactful for that. And we need to get full lives that we want. And it's not these half lives of just like, you're a successful business person, you're a great creative, you're a great artist. That's cute, but I want a full life too.
Yeah. Period.
Period.
That's it.
Period. We're out. Thank you so much.
And we're out. Have a good weekend, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk to you soon.
You.
All right, man.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
That was fire. Thanks guys for listening. Be back with another one soon.